Welcome to the Dream Journal. From the studios of KSQD in Santa Cruz, the Dream Journal is a weekly show where we explore the power of nighttime dreams through conversation with dream experts and with listeners like you. A dream can be meaningful even if you don't know what it means. Today's music, created fresh today by Rick Cleffel, is called Lingua Flux. Can dreams help you write a book? They did for our guest, women's empowerment coach Megan Walrod. Learn about how dreams help us make those big decisions in life and how they pave the way for our creativity. I am your host, Catherine Bell of Experiential Dreamwork, and welcome to the Dream Journal. Coming up soon, this year's IASD conference is June 21 to 25, and it's totally online, so you can attend from anywhere. I'll be teaching about my treasure hunt approach to Dreamwork. And we have amazing lectures, keynotes, experiential workshops where you get to actually try out different ways of working with your dreams. We have a fabulous dream ball where we're going to be dancing from your own Zoom room. Trust me, it works. So start thinking about which of your dream characters you'd like to dress up as now. No flights, just insights. Register now so you can be part of the fun. Click asdreams.org and then click on Register Now. Hope to see you there. I'm going to take a moment to share a recent dream because it's just an interesting contrast. I'm on a roller coaster. In one moment when the dream just flying around on the roller coaster, and then suddenly I'm flying through the air, falling through the air, actually, no control, falling. And on the air, I'm like, I'm sorry, I pushed too hard and now we're falling. But then I'm just falling. And there's something about falling. And then I'm worried about crashing on the ground. Of course, it's not the falling that's the hard part. It's the part you're landing. But I get this perspective where I can look and see we're going to land in water. So I'm like, oh, I think it'll be all right. So there's just this contrast for me about being on the roller coaster, which is like, my busy life, my busyness, and sometimes it's a good thing. We pay to go on roller coasters. It can be fun. But then there's this moment of just falling where I can just be right now, here, in the moment. Falling. Just loving that image right now. So, Megan Walrod, so glad to have you on the show.
Hi, Catherine. I'm so happy to be here.
Yeah, we're in person, in the studio, here in Santa Cruz. I met Megan online at some writing classes hosted by Andy Couturier of theopening.org. Highly recommended. And I've just been watching her journey, and she's completed her book. It's published. I just held a copy of it just moments ago, so it is out. Super excited to support her work, and there's dreams throughout this book, and there was dreams that were inspired along the way that helped her write it. So I was perfect fit for the show. So let me just read Megan's bio. Megan Walrod is a writer and women's empowerment coach. Over the past 16 years, she supported women to break free from their good girl training to create fun, fulfilling lives. Her debut novel, It's Always Been Me, explores feminine awakening and the journey from self-abandonment to self-trust. And you can find her at meganwalrod.com, MEGAN WALROD, meganwalrod.com on Facebook, and Instagram is at megan.walrod. So Megan, why don't you kick us off here? A new book, your first book ever. How exciting.
My first book ever. It is so exciting. It officially is out on Tuesday.
Okay.
And so it feels like a very big birthing that's been a long time in coming. Very satisfying.
Okay.
Yes.
Fabulous. And you mentioned that there was a dream that helped you kind of start this.
There was, and actually there was another dream before that I haven't shared with you. Your roller coaster dream was really fascinating to hear. And so just some context for the book dream. So I'd been married, divorced, left Colorado for California for a man, was engaged, and then that relationship ended when I found myself wondering, where do I go? And I had a dream where two men stole my license, and there was this Technicolor Ferris wheel in the background. And I woke up and I was like, that's, because I live with my dreams, I work with my dreams. And I was like, that's what it's felt like with these two men. I've lost my identity. And this dream seems to be guiding me where to go next. Where is there a colorful Ferris wheel around here? And I snapped on Santa Cruz Boardwalk. I was called to be there, so I moved to Santa Cruz.
Right.
So a dream guided me there.
Oh, my goodness. So you had not lived in Santa Cruz before?
I hadn't.
Oh, wow.
I hadn't.
Well, Santa Cruz features very heavily in the book.
Well, the book is based there, and I
Yes.
started writing it there because one morning, I didn't set out to write a book. One morning I woke up, and there was this dream image, and it was like a whole sequence moving through me, and there was one line, one sentence, and I felt compelled to sit down at my computer, write that sentence, and when I did, more words kept coming and more words kept coming, and the dream, it's like the dream just channeled right through me into words onto the page, and it started to share this story with me of a woman watering a lemon tree at this cottage on Seawright Avenue. It was so specific,
Wow.
so clear. Now, that's not how the book starts now. That was over 10 years ago.
Right.
But it was a dream that informed those first pages, and that happened day after day for weeks.
Oh, wow.
Scene after scene.
And it inspired you actually to move across country from Colorado and come to Santa Cruz. So,
Well, at the time I was living in California. I was living up in Sebastopol
Okay.
when I had that dream. Yes.
so I love the way that you are trusting your dreams and that you don't take them literally. I don't suppose you were looking for a house in Seabright necessarily with a lemon tree. But there's some way that you were able to trust your dreams that I think is really beautiful.
Absolutely. I have worked with my dreams for decades. Like every morning I'd wake up with dreams, especially it really started in my late 20s and 30s. I'd wake up with a dream and I would just dive into my journaling because that was my way to communicate with the dream and explore it and listen to the guidance. And so I learned that was one of the ways I was receiving clear guidance from my intuition, the universe, and so yes, and I found that when I acted on them, life unfolded in really magical, beautiful ways.
Yeah, bringing the dreams into life can be very powerful, and not just symbolically, like really making changes in our lives based on the dreams can be an amazing experience. Right.
It was life-changing, literally.
Yeah.
Now I have this novel in my hand. So yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so, what about now? Just to anchor us in the present a little bit. What have you been dreaming about lately?
That's a fun question, and interestingly, I don't have anything exciting to share with you. I feel like there is such a deep process that's unfolding, allowing me to bring forth something that's been living in me and changing me for over a decade, that there's almost like not bandwidth for new dreams.
Right,
It's
right.
like, or it's like the processing is happening on a different level. So,
Well, maybe
no
you-
dreams right now.
Oh, well, so maybe you incorporated so much of that conversation with your subconscious that you're now able to do it when you're awake, because you've been doing some amazing things. Like I've gotten emails from you in Fiji. Is it? You've been
Bali. I was
Bali.
living
That's
in Bali
what it is.
for 7 months so
7
far.
months. And so,
Yeah.
how did you end up in Bali?
So I knew that it was time for me to leave Portland, Oregon after living there for 4 years. I love the Pacific Northwest. I miss the nature, but I was not a fan of 6 months of gray and rain. And so I just started asking my body, asking the earth, asking the universe, like where to next. And
Right.
there were all these tropical places that were possibilities. And one morning I woke up and it was just crystal clear. I was going to let go of my apartment at the end of August, travel across the country, visit my friends and chosen family and actual family, and then leave for Bali at the end of October. And so I did that. And it wasn't a dream so much. That was just this clear knowing.
Right.
This is what was.
Right. Well, I think that's the way that dreams usually work with us, is that most people on the planet do not pay much attention to their dreams. And yet there's something incredibly valuable about dreaming. And so even if we don't remember them, dreams are in there helping us make decisions. And so a lot of times people say, oh, I'll sleep on that. And in the morning it becomes clear what they're going to do. But of course, what I would like to say is that wasn't the sleep. It was the dreams. It was the dreams that helped you make your decision, even if you don't remember them. And that's one of the things I love about dreams, is they're a subconscious process. They're really below the level of consciousness. We don't have to remember our dreams for them to be helping us. And
that's a great wisdom and reminder to
because you woke up, you knew exactly what to do, and I'll warrant there was some dream in there, a whole series of dreams probably, that was helping you make that decision, and you didn't need to remember the dream, but you woke up with this clear vision of what the future was going to be, and you did it, and it was the right thing to do.
Yeah,
right,
and very magical. Very magical. Yeah.
So let's get back to the book a little bit. It's called "It's Always Been Me," and you read quite a few excerpts of the book during the time we were together in Andy's group online, and she has quite a few dreams. She has a number of dreams.
She does. So for Sabina, our protagonist, she has these nightmares. And she is in the ocean with no shore in sight and can't get out. Like the waves feel like they're tossing her back and forth. And this place that has always been her sanctuary all of a sudden feels unsafe and dangerous, like this big threat to her. And so she's struggling with this in the first part of the book. And her friend James is the one who mentions to her that, do you wonder if something's trying to get your attention? You're going through a lot. You're processing a lot. There's these big things in your life with your husband and your grandma. Do you think something's trying to get your attention? And she was like, what do you mean? And he's like, well, maybe if you don't try to get away from them, but turn towards them. And she's like, oh, you're full of it. He's like, maybe they're trying to have their way with you. And she's like, oh, take your projections elsewhere, And yet it's through... No, I don't want to give any spoilers, but it's through her looking at other ways to process her emotions and what she's going through in healthier ways. One of the ways might be art. One of the ways might be in the ocean. The dreams transform from nightmares to a different experience where it helps her see that complete feedback of, okay, I'm actually facing what needs to be faced right now in a healthier way.
Right. And there is something about that the color of our dreams really changes over time and is often related to what's going on in our waking life. And sometimes we don't want to admit that. Like nightmares sometimes happen. We're like, everything's fine. Why am I having these nightmares? And often there's something deeper going on, something that, this has certainly happened to me many times, that's something I'm not willing to look at the moment, something that's too uncomfortable. Like, I don't want to upset my apple cart right now, thank you very much. But then I have all these nightmares. And there's something coming up that's really important. And then working with those dreams can be a way of uncovering that, or just your waking life might resolve itself as it is. But they're kind of a warning sign, they can be. And I've found that they're also a sign that you really are working something out. Like, I think the dream itself is kind of the answer. Like, that's why it doesn't matter if you remember a dream or not. Yes, it's helpful to remember a dream and work more deeply with it. But even if we don't remember it, that it is working something out for us. And so those nightmares, even if I don't know what they're caused by, they're working something out. And I really trust that. I've had enough circumstances where I found, like, what is this nightmare about, that to believe that there really is something that they are about. And we may never know. We don't need to know. But then when the dreams start to settle down, then I feel like I'm on a new path. Like that's something I've experienced over and over again. And then I'll go back through another round of nightmares. It's never done. I won't be done till I'm done. Right? Hopefully.
It's the human roller coaster ride.
The roller coaster, right?
And there's like that anxiety when there's so much transition, and the brilliance of the body. The nightmares are a way of attempting to process, and they're communicating to Sabina, like, there is something in our depths to listen to. come into us. Don't go away. Like, go into your depths. Don't try to escape this, because we're just going to keep coming after you if you're trying to escape what is asking for your attention.
Interesting. Wow, I just got a big flash, Megan, about my the dream where I'm falling toward the ocean. It's like I never land in the ocean in the dream. I'm curious, like, what's coming? I feel like there's something coming. Like there's going to be some kind of a landing or some kind of entry, some kind of like diving down into a part of myself. Wow. Okay. I just had a whole thread of things just opened up for me. Wow.
Amazing. And I feel called to share this too, that the story, It's Always Been Me, was both inspired by my own journey through relationship and my marriage specifically. And it's a loose retelling of the Celtic myth of the Selkies, who are these shape-shifting seal folk who, in the water, they're seals, yet they can take off their fur and pass as humans on land. And so there's a really beautiful, mythic, magical connection between the ocean, the depths, Sabina, what's asking for her attention. So I'm excited for you to read it, and just your own, awareness as you were just having too. That'll be intriguing how that unfolds.
Right. Well, it's not this story seems like a journey. So let me hear more about women's empowerment. That's something you've been doing for a long time, and it's kind of exemplified in the novel, and it's something you're very clearly very passionate about. You want to say a little more about how you work with people? What does that mean, women's empowerment?
That's such a good question, because it's such a big thing, right? And the early part of my coaching business was really around supporting women in growing businesses online. I had superpowers with words, so copywriting, marketing, how do you talk about what you do in authentic ways that, invite people to come and work with you. And yet underneath all of that work for all of that time, they were really helping women look at and work with the voices inside that would say things like, who do you think you are to do that? They would be doubting themselves. They would be struggling with imposter syndrome. They would be caught up in comparison. Can I trust myself? Can their voice, things around voice. And so my work has evolved into what I call women's empowerment coaching, to really help women beyond the business setting look at where are those voices coming from. And I call it the good girl training. That's from society's expectations and conditioning, which has trained us to doubt ourselves, to look outside of ourselves for permission, to not speak unless spoken till. And when we've been immersed in that conditioning for lifetimes, we buy it as true. And so breaking free of that training to actually create this satisfying, enjoyable, soulful, magical life requires us to question those thoughts and stories our mind tells us and society tells us, and learn how to work through the whitewater of guilt and the fear of being called selfish or lazy if we rest, or guilty if we want to put ourselves and our dreams first, or selfish if we want to do that. So it's really waking up to those stories, recognizing we're the authors, and can create a new story for ourselves that's based on what our soulful, intuitive knowing really knows to be true about our wild selves.
Right, because the stories is such a big deal that we have this this idea of who we are, and we have like a story, like what is this? My producer Rick Kleffel has a show called Narrative Species, and he says, if I ask you who you are, you'll tell me a story, because we are a narrative species.
Yes.
So there is a story. We each have stories that we define ourselves by, and often they're so familiar that we don't even realize it's a story.
Totally.
It's just that's the way it is.
Yes.
So how do you get people to start to recognize what those stories are?
Pay attention to their dreams. No.
Well,
that's your
my
expertise. Exactly. That's your expertise completely.
And it's so true. The dreams do.
I know. And we've had a session.
That.
We've had sessions together. So I know how deep those are.
Yep.
So the question being, how do you help women wake up to those stories?
Yeah.
It's really having these conversations, and usually the coaching begins with they're coming to me with some struggle, some conflict that's showing up in their life. And it's when we start to unpack that, like, I'm feeling dissatisfied, I'm feeling stuck. I know there's something more for me that I want him to do with my life, but I don't know what it is. Mm-hmm. It's through what's showing up in their life right now that the unraveling starts to happen. And it is that. It's Glennon Doyle wrote this book, bestseller book called Untamed, right at the beginning. I think it was 2020. And her book is such a beautiful introduction, but she talks about this untaming from these stories. So it starts by having conversations and shining a spotlight on, what if that wasn't true? Mm-hmm. And if you were the author of your own life, which you are, how would you write your story? Mm. And that starts to help. Glennon Doyle discovered, she talks about this in Untamed, she started to ask women, what's the most beautiful story you could imagine for yourself? Mm. And that is like an opening. I didn't get it exactly, but that was an opening for women to start to imagine what it could be. Because when they come with this conflict, they can be so stuck in it's this and I don't want this. Mm-hmm. Okay, so for a moment, what is it you do desire? And sometimes that even takes a while to help them get clear with what they don't want, to discover what it is they do want.
Right.
So it's a journey, it's a process, and it's really playing and exploring with this theme of, what are these stories?
Right. So we're moving beyond victim to, like, finding how can I see myself as the hero of my own story, like the hero's journey.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Oh, yeah, I love that. So, Megan, you mentioned that you have had dreams of loved ones who have died. I wonder if you would be okay to share some of those dreams and what they meant for you.
Absolutely. So my dad, Dennis Walrod, died in August last year. And he would be so proud to hold my book in his hand. He was a writer, prolific writer, hundreds of articles, 4 books on hunting. That was his thing. And he once signed his book to me saying, one day you might sign a book for me. So he died. He was 81, and I have had half a dozen dreams this year with him in them, and some of them are just this beautiful reunion. That's what it feels like. He is usually younger in the dreams. He had dementia in his last several years, so he's usually younger, in his 70s, like with it, like, strutting his dad stuff. And we're just walking towards each other and have these big smiles and hug, and it's like this simplest, most ordinary thing. Like, if he were still alive, it would feel like such an ordinary thing. In the dream, though, it just feels so blessed. We're meeting across that. So I've had those kind of dreams. I also had this dream when I was doing a lot of personal work around letting go of what I feel like was an inheritance from him and the culture, letting go of that story of scarcity. Mm-hmm. And I'm standing at the back door of my childhood home where we lived, and he wants to get in, and I won't let him in. And I say, no. And I shut the door, and he turns around and he walks away, and it's snowy and icy out, and he walks away and his shoulders are all hunched, and I return to the house. And I just feel like that was very hard to do, but it was very important. And when I was working with that in my waking life, for me, it was this reflection of how I was saying no to carrying that forward, that story forward of scarcity, and feeling at the effect of money, time, energy, life, any kind of lack mentality. And it was profound.
Yeah. Wow, that is powerful. And it is not easy to let go of these stories like this. It was a question of saying no to your own father, your beloved father, and yet there were things that he represented that were unacceptable to you.
Totally.
Yes.
Like shutting him out of the home that he had raised me in. I mean, yeah.
That's intense.
Really powerful.
Yeah.
The subconscious is brilliant.
Yes. And then you also have these wonderful, you were just telling us, these dreams of connection and really being with him in a loving way. So it's not that you're shutting him out entirely, just that part of him that you don't accept anymore, scarcity.
exactly.
Yeah. Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you
so much. So, we are going to go to break in just a few minutes. Do you have anything else you want to? Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, there was just a fun synchronicity that you started this with the roller coaster dream. And there was a roller coaster dream from my novel that ended up as a deleted scene. But it was at the end of the book, and it was Sabina processing her relationship with men and all the different men. And it was this roller coaster that was going up and down and left and right. And it was foggy and scary. And so I just love that you started with that. We're ending with that. And the power, deleted scene, but still that energy of falling, and she landed, and it was a powerful dream for her. So
that is interesting. I didn't know I was going to share the dreams. I just sat down. I'm like, today I'm going to share a dream, and this is the one. That's interesting.
I love it.
Oh, that is very cool. And of course, that's also very Santa Cruz. The roller coaster is very much a Santa Cruz image for sure.
Absolutely. So
the whole writing process is pretty intense, and we'll talk some more about the writing process after the break. I'm going to go ahead and go to the break, and I'm talking today to Megan Walrod, and you can find her at meganwalrod.com. That's MEGANWALROD.com and /book to get in touch with her book. It's Always Been Me, which is now out and available, and you're having a book signing next week.
It's out on Tuesday. It's out on Tuesday the 10th, and I'm having a panel event up in Corte Madera on Tuesday, and then on Saturday we're having a launch party in Santa Cruz at Rosie McCann's Irish Pub and Restaurant.
Excellent.
Because there are 2 scenes in the book that take place
in
there.
Rosie's.
So
that's
they're
wonderful.
hosting it.
Oh, fabulous. All right. Well, I wanted to get some of those details in before the break. Thank you so much, Megan. This is great. So we are broadcast live from the KSQD studios in Santa Cruz and co-broadcast live in San Jose by KCXU. So we will find out a little bit more about the writing process for the author. We will be right back. You are listening to the Dream Journal. I'm Catherine Bell of Experiential Dreamwork. I'd like to send a special welcome to far-flung listeners. It's great to have people listening to the show live. We have a lot of local folks, Walnut Creek, Fresno. We also have Atlanta, Georgia, Emmaus, Pennsylvania, and then Quebec. We've got a listener from Quebec, and then we also have a listener from Germany at Quedlinburg. Thanks so much for listening live. And it's one of the unique things about this show that we do have a live feed, which allows call-ins. So, but also it just shows that people all over the world are interested in their dreams. If you want to nudge the algorithm to help spread interest in dreaming, please follow the Dream Journal on your favorite podcast app. It'd also be great if you could leave us ratings and reviews wherever you listen to the show. It really helps spread interest in dreaming. You can find out about upcoming shows and pod drops by following hashtag the Dream Journal and at Experiential Dreamwork. Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn are my main sites. Please contact me if you'd like to be a guest on the show to talk about a new book or to let folks know about your dream-related offerings. I really want to lift up people who are interested in dreams. I think we can support each other. I told you about the big international IASD conference in June. You can find out about it at asdreams.org. Also, please mark your calendar for a local in-person event at the Santa Cruz Museum of Art and History, October 10th through 12th. The Festival of Dreams is back. We really hope to see you there. Next week, we welcome another author and another Megan. This time it will be Megan Mary, author of the award-winning metaphysical series Witches of Maple Hollow. Megan Mary is also a podcaster and a dream coach. I hope you can tune in for that. So today's guest is Megan Walrod, and we're talking about her new book, It's Always Been Me, and her experiences of dreaming. And in the second half, I want to focus a little bit on the experience of writing. That we actually met at a writing class by Andy Couturier, which I've mentioned, the opening.org. And sitting here also in the studio with me is another writer and editor, Bridget Lyon, who has helped me out quite a bit in my book. I met her through Andy's class, and I'd like you to say hello.
Hi, everyone. Yeah. My name's Bridget Lyons, and I am a writer, editor, ghostwriter who lives here in Santa Cruz. I actually call myself an interpretive sorceress in my email sign-off because it sounds a little bit more magical than just writer, editor, and ghostwriter. And in that vein, I think it threads really well in with the discussion we're having today.
Excellent. So both Megan and I have been working with Bridget about editing. Well, I guess Megan's well done with that process. But I've found that some amazing help in my book. I have another pair of eyes on it, and she's very kind and constructive and extremely helpful because they are your darlings. There's this motto of kill your darlings. When you're writing your book, you might have to leave some things on the cutting room floor, like that roller coaster scene that Megan was just talking about. And so, Bridget, do you want to just say anything about dreams? I know anything about your own dreams. Do you have any experience with that? Or
I really like what Megan said just a couple of minutes ago, which is that the subconscious, I think she said the subconscious is brilliant.
Yes.
And I think that is very true. And if we let it move through us relatively unimpeded, it has a lot to say and a lot to offer. And I feel like a lot of the folks I work with often come to their projects because of some kind of subconscious awareness, or something is itching at them, something is starting their writing process or their art process or whatever that creative process looks like. And they just need encouragement and support. And then at some point, what was raw subconscious material often needs a little shaping and a little cutting and whittling and tinkering with. And I see my role as helping people see the core of what that subconscious driven or dream driven piece was at the beginning, honoring that, keeping it there by all means, making it shine, and then removing some of the excess around it or whittling it down so that original seed idea can shine even more.
Absolutely. Well, one of my favorite things of working with Bridget is that I had a lot of cutting to do because my thing was way too long. It's still too long. But one of the things that I loved is she says, but we want more dreams. I want to see more dreams. And so I have gone up to 120 dreams in my book right now. And I've just, by putting in more and more, and they're all my dreams. And so it's more and more of me. So I feel like putting myself into the book and I took out a bunch of stuff about projection and shadow work. And yeah, that's lovely, but it's not me. So I appreciate that. So Bridget, do you have any questions or anything you want to offer in the moment? Any questions for Megan or me or anything you want to?
I guess I would ask Megan spontaneously.
Sure.
Now that you've taken yourself through this whole process that you explained to listeners a moment ago, how it started with a series of dreams, and now you're holding your book in your hands. What did you need to hold on to through that process to get to just go through the steps? Because writing, publishing, editing, it's a long journey, and it takes a lot of work, and it's easy to get knocked off course. So what are some of the tools or the visions that helped you navigate such a long and relatively arduous process?
I love that. Great question. And my hand's on my heart as you were asking that, because for me, what helped me stay with the process was that it was such an experience of creating with what Elizabeth Gilbert calls big magic. She describes creativity, if you haven't read her book, she describes creativity and the big magic as there is this idea that is seeking a human collaborator for it to come into form. And so with this book, it felt like I was creating with big magic. I was creating with my soul, spirit, Sabina, my characters. And so going through all the steps and it didn't feel like a linear process, like in those first many years at all. It was about my relationship with myself and my relationship with my path and what's meaningful for me. And so for me, getting to this point was a reflection of my devotion to, I'm willing to do what it takes to follow through on what big magic wants to come through me in this lifetime. And it feels like a bigger myth that I am unfolding of a lineage of storytellers and lifetimes of storytellers. And it just happens to be this big, deep, beautiful message in the gift wrapping of a fun beach read novel, that there's medicine there. And one last thing I'll share about it. I needed to drink my own medicine as I was writing the book. So it was about, am I saying yes to what I need to say yes to and no what I need to say no to, so I have the energy for this? Am I willing to ask for support? Am I willing to trust the process so that when there were years I wasn't writing, I could realize I was becoming the woman who could finish this book, who could give Sabina the most empowering ending. And so it was a lot about trusting the process and surrendering to it. So that's what kept me going. Yes. And I'd love to share a couple things about the synchronicities and the magic of
please.
Bridget.
That'd be great.
You know the expression of when the student is ready, the teacher will come?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So about a month or two before I was ready for a developmental editor, Bridget was a guest teacher in Andy's Thursday night book completion group. And when we were connecting in our consult, we started talking. I was just like, I think you're who I need. So we have a conversation. A couple months later, we start working together. Get this. My book is based in Santa Cruz. There's a surfing scene, and Sabina's married to a rock star who plays a guitar. Bridget lives in Santa Cruz, is a surfer, has a passion for music, and got what I was up to and helped me make sure, like what you were just saying, that, you know, your clients, we stay close to that dream, that core message, helped me complete the book with an ending, with the last few scenes that were the most empowering way I could have wrapped up this book. And that wasn't the way it was going to end for a while. It was going to end in a different way. And she helped me. She advocated for me, for Sabina, for this bigger message so that I could wrap it up in the way that is just disrupting the happily ever after narrative. So I'm so grateful for Bridget and for that, the ways of the universe that we attract to us, those supporters when we're bringing our like dreams to life that are just that divine perfect match. So thank you.
Right. Yeah. Bridget.
I really can't say enough for the power of collaboration and creativity. You know, it's amazing how many people I encounter in the writing world who think that, oh, all writers just do this on their own. They lock themselves in a room and they write and then they produce this beautiful, refined thing. Like, wow, that is just not my experience. Not for me, not for anyone that I work with, not for anyone that I've known along my creative journey. And looking for help and asking for help and accepting help when it shows up is critical to help move our creative babies into the world. And I think, you know, one of the things I love about what I'm experiencing right in this second, which is sitting in a radio studio with two people that I've worked with who have helped me with my personal writing, who I have helped with their writing. Like there's this sort of triumvirate of support in this room that's manifesting in this radio show. Like, what a cool thing. And what an amazing reminder that this is how creativity comes into the world, through this kind of teamwork and support. So if you're out there in the listening audience with any kind of, whether you're a songwriter or a musician or an artist, a visual artist or a writer, or whatever it is that you do that you want to bring into the world, you're not alone. Seek help. It will come, and honor that help, because it's a beautiful thing.
Right. And I love the way you said you have to accept the help, like, because it's easy to overlook the signs, those synchronicities that you were talking about, Megan. It's easy to just keep plowing on and go, nope, I don't need that help. But maybe help is good. Help is good. We are a collaborative species. Yes, it's very important to work together.
And There's actually a scene in the book where Sabina is feeling like she's seen as somehow less than or weak because she needs support. And so this is a big lesson for her too, and for so many women who have been taught to, going back to our good girl training conversation, there's this story that we need to do it alone. We can't ask for support. Nobody will actually show up for us. Like, there's all these stories. So I love that you spoke to that, and to the listeners who's feeling that like urge to bring something forth. It's like, it can start with just setting that intention with the universe of like, I'm looking for an editor, so when it's time for that, could you bring it? Or I could really use this kind of support. It's letting go of the story that it's somehow bad or wrong.
Yeah,
to get support.
It's very true, and I did that in the cave by myself, kind of writing for a long time, and I wish I had done a little editing sooner. I mean, I can't really fault my path. My path was my path, but I would encourage other writers to get help sooner, because I had to get rid of the whole chapters that I spent all this time on, and they really weren't needed, and I was like glad to let go of them, but I wish I hadn't spent the time on them. So getting help sooner is always a good thing, and it's something I definitely struggle with. Shows up in my dreams a lot. I'll be running madly for the airplane and going right past that travel agent who's booking me a much better flight. And I'm like, no, I got this. I can hurry up and catch this. So, looking for help is something that I've struggled with a lot myself, and I've gotten a lot better at it. And it's a skill. You have to build that muscle of asking for help and then accepting it and saying thank you. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Good stuff. So where do we want to go to now? I think we'll talk about help. I'm just going to do a shout out to Andy Couturier, who I've mentioned already a couple of times, that he's kind of the mentor of the three of us, or at least certainly for me and Megan. I think Bridget had an independent existence as a writer before Andy. But that there is something about this is a writing group that he sponsors. And there's many different ways to do writing groups. You can certainly do your own. But the magic of Andy's writing groups is that he has this paradigm, which, what is it? It's
writing the subconscious.
Yeah, writing from the subconscious is one of his books. But there's something about appreciative inquiry, like just appreciating, like when because like a lot of people are afraid to read their writing to someone else. I know I have been, because I'm afraid of criticism. Like, oh my God, this is be really hard to share with somebody, because I'm thinking of like these movie scenes of writers groups where they say, oh, your piece is just terrible and it's juvenile and all this. But if you do start your own writing group, or if you do join a writing group, I recommend you set up guidelines, much like Dreamwork, of appreciation, and just honoring and appreciating and sharing with each other what moves you about the piece that person just read, because they're bearing their soul, and it's intense. And so, but we can support each other by reading out loud. Like, I got a lot of courage from that group, because reading my pieces out loud and seeing people nod and smile and go, yes, that really speaks to me, encouraged me to keep going. So if you're a writer and you want to encourage yourself, you could start a kind of a group. But I really encourage that appreciation and just sharing what speaks to you about each other, because we don't want to tear each other down. We be able to be vulnerable with each other and authentic with each other, and that's something I really learned from Andy, and it so applies to dreaming too. I mean, that's one of the things I love about Andy's an avid dreamer as well. Mm-hmm. So he has groups and all that. And so when you're listening to someone else's dream, also appreciate and notice what speaks to you. Share what speaks to you about it. Yeah, Megan.
I was just sharing this story with my community recently about one of the big gifts I received from that writing group was reading pages aloud and hearing the feedback from others. And there was this one woman who I adored. She could be very stoic, and yet she would often say to me after I'd read a few pages, keep writing. Keep writing. And it was like those two words were the biggest fuel that just told me, I'm really onto something here. Keep going. So that kind of encouragement in community, and that's so helpful. And I wanted to share a story about Andy.
Yeah.
And like asking for and receiving help. So when I first got on a call with him to ask him some questions about his writing group to see if it was a fit for me, I was like going, 100 miles an hour, right? I'd just gotten off of one call. I had another thing after his thing. Like, I was very much in my overachiever, kind of like type A, going. And I don't know who this guy is. Like, he's just some long-haired hippie. Like, I'm a hippie too. I mean, you should see me, like, what I'm wearing right now. But, like, I totally am too. But I was just like, I don't know who this guy is. But I had been called to some free class he did. Anyway, so we get on this call. And I'm like, okay, so I just want to know about da-da-da-da. And he's like, you know what? Let's just take a breath together for a moment. And at first I was like, so this was like how help shows up, right? At first I was like, what the heck? He's not meeting me where I want to be met. Right. Like, he's not, come on, let's just go. And then I was like, oh, this is what I need. And we sat there for 30 seconds in silence, just breathing. And I was like, doesn't even matter what he says, I'm in. Like, he can create a space for me to slow down, relax, tune in. That's what I need. And so, Andy, thank you.
That's it.
And sometimes that support we want looks different, and it's often so much of what we need.
Yeah. Oh, that's beautiful. Yeah. Yep. He does create a space for sure. And that's what we really are looking for in our lives, is someone who can create a space. I mean, for relationships and around our dreams, around our writing. You're looking very, very interested, Bridget.
I was just going to say that, yeah, I think one of the subjects that we keep coming back to in this discussion is the power of intuition and accessing information that's maybe not on the tip of our tongue, is the way the things we do on a daily basis are, and creating a container for that, whether it's, a class like Andy's, or it's a daily practice of writing, or daily practice of listening to music, or a daily practice of walking on the beach. Like, all of these things are containers that, if we adhere to them and we hold those containers in like a sacred space, then I think we increase the chances of this magic showing up, of this creativity showing up. And some days it does, and some days it doesn't, and that's totally fine. But hold the container and trust the container. And I think, you have no idea what's going to come out of that, and it's probably going to be really cool.
I love that. So, Bridget, let me have you tell us your webpage, and I'm so glad that you were able to come in case people want to contact you. Bridget Lyons, please.
Sure, yeah. My website is bridgetalyons.com, so BRIDGET, A, my middle initial, Lyons, LYONS.com. And yeah, I work with a variety of authors on their paths. Some of them are just starting out. Some of them already have contracts with publishers. Some of them are self-publishing, all over the map. I'm happy to meet people where they are and give them whatever support they need in that spot. And I'm a writer as well.
You have your own book coming out, right?
I am releasing a book in July, and actually have an event at Bookshop Santa Cruz on July 22nd. And my book is a collection of essays that explore my relationship with non-human creatures, everything from kelp to great horned owls to elk to ibex to echinoderms, and the essays braid my personal experiences, especially recreating in the outdoors, with science about these creatures and ideas about how we could live more respectfully with them and share the planet with other creatures. So that's my personal writing. And I help people with all sorts of writing, whatever they have, I'm happy to tap into.
Great. Thank you, Bridget. I'm
You're
so
welcome.
glad you could
Thank
be
you.
here. And Megan Walrod, why don't you tell us about what services you offer and what you're looking forward to doing next?
Ooh, what I'm looking forward to next is my book tour, which starts on Tuesday.
Wow.
Like, that feels so the culmination of so much. That's really the what's next, even though book 2 is in the wings.
Oh, really?
I was,
Book
quick
2.
story, and then I'll answer your question.
Sure.
I was living in Bali, and I ended up staying in December in these cottages by the sea where Elizabeth Gilbert is known to have written Eat, Pray, Love. And I had just finished reviewing the first pages of my novel, which is like this whole huge thing. And when novel 2 just downloaded to me, and it was like involved and, multiple layers and countries.
Oh, interesting.
And so it was a beautiful experience of, book one didn't come through that way. It wasn't like one big download. So anyway, so that's in the wings, waiting patiently. So to answer your other question, going backwards, as a women's empowerment coach, you were asking me
what your services are.
Yeah,
what do you have workshops, I know.
So I do. I work with women one-on-one. I have some group programs starting again in the fall. There may be a retreat in Bali. And so it's supporting women, because what I found is you were talking about container, Bridget, which I love that, and creating a container with a client. There's an experience of depth that we can go to when working one-on-one to unwind from these stories. There's also something really beautiful and powerful that happens in community, because so often when a woman is going through this journey herself of untaming, as Glennon Doyle calls it, we can feel crazy because other people in our status quo world don't get us. They're not understanding why we're questioning the way things have always been done. When we're doing that in community, we get to be affirmed and reminded. As Glennon Doyle again says, you're not crazy, you're a goddamn cheetah. Like you are an untamed, wild, intuitive, powerful woman living in a cage of a story that's telling you, doubt yourself, shut up, you don't know what's best for you. So no wonder you would feel a bit crazy. So that's why I love the groups doing that. And I'm excited. I'm going to be starting some free monthly book club calls to dive into the themes of my book around how they resonate with women's lives. Because there's a lot of these, women's empowerment in the book about how do we break free of these expectations of who we're supposed to be and what kind of life we're supposed to live, to actually go for these dreams that we have and trust ourselves, trust that we're capable of creating something magical by listening to that inner call. So I'm excited about those.
Woo. So Rosie McCain's next Saturday at what time?
Rosie McCann's Irish Pub and Restaurant in Santa Cruz on Pacific Avenue from 3 to 5.
Okay.
It's going to be fun. And it's not like just a boring reading, and it's going to be fun and interactive and conversations and some activities, and there will be books there if you want to get them. And just so you know this too, I know it's going to be at a pub, but I'm not even a drinker. So like there will be cocktails and mocktails and food and gluten-free vegan cake. So whatever lights you up, we're going to have some of that there. Oh, and giveaways. So,
okay.
Yeah. And talking about dreams, but the kind of dreams of what dreams do you have for yourself in your life, and saying yes to those.
Fabulous. Megan Walrod, it's a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you. It's been a total joy to be here with you.
Great.
Both of you.
Absolutely. And thank you, Bridget. Okay. So thank you all for listening. The Dream Journal is produced at the studios of KSQD in Santa Cruz, and we are live every Saturday at 10 a.m. Pacific at ksqd.org. The podcast is released on the Monday after the show. It spreads interest in dreaming when you subscribe, rate, and review. I'm Catherine Bell. You can find out about my dream coaching practice at experientialdreamwork.com. You can email me at catherine@ksqd.org, katherine@ksqd.org. Follow Experiential Dreamwork and hashtag The Dream Journal on Facebook and Instagram and LinkedIn. And thank you, Rick Clough, engineer and music creator, audio editing by Suki Wessling, phones by Tony Rissimano. Intro and outro pieces are both by Mood Science. And tomorrow morning when you wake up, take a minute to write down your dream and bring it to the next Dream Journal.
She warms up the car and she dreams of a hand that floats in her jaw. And hears her scratching against the back door, but the pets are asleep on the